Hi, everybody. Dan Illman along with Ashley Mailloux taking a look at race number 7 at Laurel Park on Saturday. It's the $100,000 Prince George's County. This is for the older males. We're going to take a look at this field. Two notable scratches. I talked to Ken McPeak on Thursday morning. He said Camp Hope and Tis the Bomb are out. The travel plans just didn't work out, which leaves the two Royal Patronage, the 8 Pau Alto, both trained by Graham Motion, as your 5-2 and 3-1 quote morning line unquote favorites.
Very unfortunate, as you mentioned, the travel delays and such, because Tis the Bomb blinkers on. I was curious if that was going to kind of muddy the pace scenario or this one was going to be close. And then you look at Camp Hope, 2 starts back, was pretty impressive at Churchill. And I think kind of, deserved another shot at stakes competition after that last run in the grade 2 wide stand. So it does, change the field here. For me, it didn't necessarily change my top pick, but it does change the complexion of the race.
Let's throw up the Timeform US pace projector. And remember to head on over to timeformus.com once scratches are announced. This pace projector will automatically update. It'll take out the 3 Camp Hope, and that could be key because that'll likely leave the 2 Royal Patronage on the lead in a gray barn situation. I agree with Timeform US, Ashley. There's no speed in this race.
Absolutely no speed whatsoever. And you look at Royal Patronage, and I wouldn't even say this horse is a speed horse, right? But has been forwardly placed at similar distances in similar races and could get lonely here just because no one else, on paper at least, wants to go.
The number 1, Sky's Not Falling, is a very versatile horse. He's won at 5/8 of a mile. He's won at a mile and a 16th. Now he's going to try to stretch his ability another 16th to this mile and an 1/8 distance. A good inside post, and this is a horse that has been forward in the past. Maybe he can sort of get a nice position while saving ground. Even 4th last time out in the Cliffhanger Stakes. He's not really too far behind some of these in terms of buyer speed figures.
No, not at all. And I think, you look at some of these races as well. For a while, he was a sprinter, right? So when he did stretch out, he was a little bit more eager and forwardly placed just coming out of those turf sprints. But even 2 starts back, I thought he raced well. He was pretty close to it when it was all said and done. He actually ended up winning that race. And then last time out was shuffled a little further back in that race, which I was there at Monmouth Park, and I did think it was kind of an interesting race.
Royal Patronage, the number 2, is a Group 2 winner overseas in England. And Graham Motion was aggressive with this horse last year when he first got him. He ran him in 3 consecutive graded stakes races, and he was on the lead in the Virginia Derby before tiring. Graham gave him some class relief for his seasonal debut. A 3rd level allowance at Keeneland. Royal Patronage settled very nicely. And once Joel Rosario gets him into the clear, he comes with a good, strong run.
Yeah, definitely, I guess, class relief in terms of coming out of the Virginia Derby, but Keeneland can be very salty in both of their meets. And I thought this was a really good performance, got a nice trip, just a couple of lengths off of it, and closed late with serious, movement forward in there. And I think looking at that performance in the race itself, it's been a productive race to say the least. And then last time out, I just don't think things worked for him at Churchill over that turf course. I'm more excited to see him now 3rd off the layoff.
Yeah, I talked to Graham earlier this week, and he said that course was just a little bit too firm for Royal Patronage. He's hoping for a bit of give in the ground, and considering the uncertain weather outlook in Laurel this weekend, he might get some give. Camp Hope is expected to scratch, so we move to the 4, Beacon Hill, and Beacon Hill's running off of a lengthy layoff for Michael Matz. The good news is that Beacon Hill has performed well off layoffs in the past. I just wonder if he wants a little more ground.
I would think so. I mean, looking at his more recent performances, some of them, maybe not the mile and 3/8, but, maybe he does want to go a mile and a quarter when it's all said and done. A mile and an 1/8 might be short. And you mentioned the long layoff for the horse. He's been good. Michael Matz has always been very patient with his horses and takes his time and does well with these horses off the 6-month more layoff. It's been very clear to me they've really wanted to keep him in kind of stakes competition down the page, and that's how they're going to debut him now as a 6-year-old, which I do think is intriguing. My question with him, though, looking at his record as well, he does not like to win as much as he likes to kind of round out the exotics.
And number 5 is Eons, who won this race last year as a result of a disqualification. I think he could make an excuse for his last race. He simply got wired in a race that didn't have a lot of pace. But the problem is he's catching a race with no pace, and he isn't very adaptable. He's a true closer.
He is a true closer. Every kind of single start, we've seen that from him. And, in the past, when he's been, I guess, what you want to call close to the pace, there've been very compact fields. So I think the hand has been forced by their riders to not let anyone get too far away. I think he's at a disadvantage. I've always wondered, too, Could he go longer? He's kind of stuck at a mile and a 16th and a mile and an eighth, and it just hasn't panned out. And I'm wondering if, his name, everyone knows his name. He used to be a little bit better back in the day. I wonder if this caliber might be a little tough for him.
Let's watch Royne and Eons. They come out of the same race at Laurel on June the 17th. I thought Forest Boyce overall gave Royne a very nice trip. Didn't break great, but wound up saving all of the ground. And the winner of this race, Dr. Davis, A, is very sharp, and B, just had all the best of it on the lead. I like the way Royne finished up for second. Eons is going to split some horses and get up with a good run for third. The same situation with Royne and Eons. It applies to both. They're both closers that need some help.
Yeah, and this is a great race to point out, right? Because Dr. Davis ends up being much the best, was forwardly placed throughout, basically a gate-to-wire performance, wins by almost 4 lengths. I think Royne probably looked a little bit better in that spot than Eons, but you kind of wonder where the performance comes from. This is a horse that they tried going long, tried 2 miles at one point. They've tried different things with. He's been an interesting type to see, but I do think in terms of coming from hurdles to flat, that first time can be so difficult, and he did race very well.
Palo Alto is a multiple group winner overseas and returns to Maryland for the first time since his North American debut, where he ran just fine in the BM Baltimore-Washington International Turf Cup. And he ran quite good that day. He ran well that day. It was 3 wide, and Set Piece is just a nice horse who ran him down in the stretch. Now, they tried to stretch him out all the way in the 1.5 mile McKnight. He was chasing kind of a fast pace for that distance, and he tired. I like the fact that Graham gave him a break, and he told me it was by design. The horse had run against some tough competition, had been going for a while, so he's happy with him off the layoff, but he did try to get a couple of allowance races to fill, and they couldn't.
And they come to this spot. I'll be honest, Dan, I think I've been burned by this horse a couple too many times at this point, just looking back and wagering on him and thinking that he would run better than he did. I do agree, though, Pimlico, that mile hit him perfectly. He did race very well, and that's always tough, too, when horses are making their first start from coming from overseas. But last couple of races, some of them a head-scratcher, and maybe he didn't like the added ground, as you mentioned last time out, going 1.5 miles. He could be ready to roll. Another trainer that does very well off the extended layoff. But I thought 3-1, I think it's because of his class, but maybe short. But now he benefits from the scratches of 2 other horses in here.
Let's take a look at our top selections for the Prince George's County. We're both going to go with Royal Patronage in here. I just think his running style fits beautifully. He's faced top competition. And now with these scratches, it's a shorter field. I think he's going to get away with a really nice trip from up close.
I completely agree. My one thing is maybe Sky's Not Falling presses him a little bit with the inside draw and has shown some speed in the past, but I still think looking at his performances, I'm excited to see him make that third star off the layoff, and I think he will be close to it, which everyone else at that point, if they don't go, they'll be scrambling in the end.
And we have Beacon Hill, where he likes to be second. 2-4-1-8 for Ashley, 2-4-8-1 for me. It's the Prince George's County, the second of 3 stakes races at Laurel on Saturday. Good luck.